Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we do have Frobei on. Now, Frobei is a professional teamfight tactics player, so he's got the skills to get you guys away. He's started a channel for Illuvium. He's done some analysis of Grant and Kieran's gameplay, which if you're new to auto battlers is incredibly valuable just to learn the absolute basics. I think we can agree that going deep into specific strategy on characters is a bit early because there's a lot of balancing to be done, but it definitely gets you into the mindset of how to play the game and how to think and strategize. So his channel is going to be really good for that type of content. Like I said, coming from the pro TFT type scene. But yeah, this is like a little series that I'm going to run along the whole time I'm making Alluvium content. I got to think of a name for it, but I'm just going to keep trying to get, professional players from other games, or once Alluvium's here, top players from the game, to give you guys some of the insights that they have. So Frobei, welcome. Give us a bit of a background on yourself and where you've come from to get to this point of being involved in Illuvium.
Well, first of all, thank you, Volkim, for this amazing introduction. So I've been playing TFT since the launch of the game. And at first I was just a casual like many other people. And after some time I came back to TFT. I think it was during the COVID moment where we all started to work from home.
Yeah.
And from this point I started to try to play TFT a bit more competitively, because I felt like I had the mindset maybe to try to grind and get better. And after some time, I managed to get top 100 in Europe among the players, and I played many tournaments. But what I liked the most was probably the fact that I was able to translate these skills into educational content on YouTube. And that was also another pleasure I had with TFT. And there was a moment when TFT was a bit boring. There were less players because they kind of messed up their design of the set. And that's also the moment when I started to learn about crypto and GameFi, basically. And I had my eyes on Illuvium, which was basically a GameFi plus auto battler. I was like, hey, this is a magic formula. I should be there.
Yeah, 100%. And with that, like, are you interested in the open world side of Illuvium as well, or are you like just laser focused on the auto battler competitive side, or do you see yourself having fun actually going out in the open world and capturing the Alluvials as well?
I think I will take that overworld more like casual if I want to relax, if I want to learn but maybe a bit how at first we will have to do that in order to catch our first Illuvials.
Yep.
And maybe learn about more about the game, about different things. And after probably I'll focus rather on the auto battler, because this is where I find the most fun. And this is also probably where I'll be the best in terms of efficiency compared to other game modes.
So do you see yourself catching your Alluvials mainly or buying them?
I think I will catch them at first, really, and maybe later, maybe I can trade and try to not spend too much money to buy them, and rather try just to be smart with exchanging what's good, what's not good in the meta, and just try to optimize everything.
Play the market a bit. Yeah, 100%. I remember that back from like when I used to play physical cards with Yu-Gi-Oh! You try and sell a meta deck before the next wave of meta comes, so you can get as much back to put into the next one and stuff like that. But with that, obviously coming from teamfight tactics, what's your plan? Like, to go all in on Illuvium? Are you going to just dip your toe in and see if you like it first, or do you think you'll go basically everything Illuvium and drop teamfight tactics? Like, what's your play with basically not just content but also like playing in the background yourself?
How can I explain? Right now, I play maybe no more than 10 ranked games in TFT right now, because the set is not very satisfying. That's just my personal opinion. And so I'm using this time to discover more about Illuvium, discovering you, for instance, and talking with other content creators and Illuvium core members. And the more I have my feet in the community, the more I'm loving it. Simply, I feel like it's really easy to have a conversation with you, with core members, and the whole community is very, I don't know, enthusiastic about the game. And I have a feeling that when Illuvium is going to get out, I will be already quite deep in the community, meaning like I will be consistently be there, And the transition will be from 100 focus from TFT a few months ago to 100% focus on Illuvium, which is going to be to happen in like a few months when the game will be launched.
Yep, 100%. And with like, because obviously everyone compares it to Teamfight Tactics, and I definitely see the correlation, obviously, in that it's an auto battler. However, Alluvium's grid is definitely much more advanced. I feel like there's going to be a lot more nuances in Alluvium's just board based on how complex it is. But on top of that, it's a completely different style of play, being the like when we look at PvP, not the survival mode, where it's one person against one person as opposed to everyone versing waves. Which way do you actually prefer? Like, obviously, you haven't played much of the Illuvium style yet, but in your mind, which one do you think you'll find better?
So, to answer this question, I would like to say something that is really different about Illuvium. When TFT and Dota Auto Chess were launched, there was a huge hype about Auto Battler, and many studios tried to make a low-cost version of TFT, and of course, it never worked. Or maybe it worked in different regions, I don't know, but it didn't go mainstream. What I really like about Illuvium is like they're trying to innovate in this new genre, because the Auto Battler is very new compared to MMORPG or whatever you can find. So I think the fact that we have Illuvium that creates innovations in the new genre, it might help the genre just to grow in general. And maybe we'll have even other studios who pick a bit of TFT, pick a bit of Illuvium, and try to make something new. That's possible. So my opinion, as a player, I would say, I am much more interested in Illuvium's design because I really like the fact that, first of all, we can 1v1 a person. So if someone disagrees with me on Discord, I can just 1v1 him.
Yeah, it's that personal fuck you that you can get into.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I just like the fact that I'm playing against someone and we're trying to read each other's mind and try to position, like you said, because there's infinite possibility. And we will need to find something that will beat the person we're facing. We're not trying to find something that is generally good and can beat 7 other players. We really want to optimize in order to beat someone, and I think that's a trick. Like maybe it's something we have in chess. I never played chess. I mean, I just know the rules, but I never played chess competitively. And I think this part has a lot of similarities with chess.
Yeah, 100%. And something that I know Aaron's mentioned in chats that I've had with him is that he doesn't want there to be a specific meta in Alluvium. He wants it to be balanced. And then obviously, you know, with the addition of augments and stuff like that, make so that you can customize and overcome any situation that you get into with any deck. Now, this is one that I'm really excited about inside. I'm curious to get your thoughts. Like, will you think you'll like choose a specific deck that you like the playstyle and get really laser focused on that deck, or will you try and spread yourself around? I'm not talking at the very start. I'm talking once we get into proper seasons going around, because I think, like, this is my thoughts, is that we'll get to a point where hopefully, I'm hoping that it'll be you can play your deck as long as your deck has some form of synergy. You keep playing that and you get better at it, and then you will understand your personal deck and how to counter certain threats better than anyone else if they grabbed your deck. So do you see that how like being a way that it gets played out? And if so, would you try and narrow down on one deck, or would you try and play it broad to try and understand what other people are playing more?
I think because there are 2 modes, I think we will see these 2 playstyles in each mode. I think for Leviathan, because it can be extremely costly in order to make a good and competitive deck, I think most people will focus on, well, the deck they like and they invest in, or they spend a lot of time to capture those Illuvios and raise them. I think for the Leviathan, we will mostly see people who are very, very professional on one deck. They know all the matchups, they know everything. And I think on ranked, and it might depend on the tournament's format. For instance, if we looked at Hearthstone, usually we need to master like 7 different decks in order to win a tournament. So it could be the same with Illuvium. Maybe they'll say that, okay, we will have a best of 5, and meaning that both players will play maximum 5 games, and the first one who win 3 games will actually win the match. And maybe on each match, they will have to switch a minimum of 10 cards in the game. Or, I don't know, could be a rule.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, then we will have to learn how to understand different types of synergies, different decks, and what is the winning condition of each deck, what is the losing condition, and these kind of things. So I think it will highly depend on the tournament format. As for me, I just someone who gets bored if I always play the same thing. So I like to try a lot of things, but that's again my personal way of playing games.
100%. Yeah. And then you've also got to take into account the cost effect as well of if you want to have multiple decks, you're going to have to purchase or catch multiple Alluvials. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. And I'm holding out some promise for the lower spending players that, you know, if they do get really good at one of their at the deck that they've built, you know, they can still like compete at a fair level with that one deck. But with the actual game flow of PvP, I'm sure you would have seen the game flow chart of how PvP is going to work, where it's you see each other's decks, so you know what each other has. Then you both place your Alluvials. Then you do the legendary augment bidding, and then you jump into placing your Alluvials. Then you see the placements. Then you place your regular augments, and then we go into the battle. What's your view on that game flow? Because obviously all this stuff is open, and I think Aaron said multiple times that, you know, this is the base level. We want to get players' feedback and move on from there. Just on paper, how do you feel about that from, you know, a gameplay, strategic, and also a time sensitivity factor?
Yeah. So I'm happy you brought this example because when I first discovered Illuvium, I was just thinking, okay, game fine, auto battler. We will see how it will go because I've seen so many auto battlers failing. That was my point of view. And a few months later, I saw the battle PvP flow chart, and when I saw this, I understood immediately that this game wants to do a different auto battler, and it looks very promising. This PvP flow chart. So what I really like about it is most decisions we have to make are based on information we can have about the opponents. It's always like you see the deck, you can, of course, you will not know exactly what he's going to play, but you can guess. You can have multiple scenarios and try to find your own resources within the deck in order to optimize your chances of victory. And let's say that you chose the wrong deck because you made a bad move, or it was just you have a bad matchup. This happens. In Hearthstone, for instance, it always happens.
Yeah.
Then you have the chance to, to come back from this bad decision by bidding on legendary augment that could enhance your deck or just preventing your opponent to get the legendary augment that he wants. You can also counter with your items, like the augments, the normal augments, by placing the augments differently than what you would do usually in order to try to again increase the odds of winning. And then after there's the fight, you analyze the fight, and between fights, you can readapt your deck. You cannot just change completely your deck. You will have a limitation. Like you cannot, if you have 8 Illuvials, you cannot remove them all and have 8 new Illuvials. There's a limitation. But because there's a limitation, it also helps to be able to forecast your opponent's move.
Yeah.
So all of that is a strategy built on strategy, and everything is all about decision. And the fact that there's no RNG, the fact that there's no RNG, then it just makes it better. And that's where I feel like Illuvium has a really, really good formula to attract competitive players on TFT, chess, Hearthstone, Magic, and any kind, even Pokemon, any kind of game that has some level of strategy.
Yeah, 100%. And for me, because I know like people have spoken about, you know, maybe doing multiple placement rounds where like, you know, they place 1 or 2 and then you place 1 or 2. I actually really, once I saw this game flow, I really liked the look of place all your Alluvials, and then your augment placing is the next decision you have to make because it's a bit better on time. When I used to play like competitive Pokemon matches, and like literally every turn, was 30 seconds thinking, okay, they're either going to switch out or they're going to call the fake and stay in and not switch. And it's like every turn in Pokemon was always just a switch battle of, are they going to switch or are they not going to switch? And if you called that wrong in that mind game, then you lost momentum. And it was literally just endless mind games. And I like the way that this just gets it all done. There's basically 3 mind games to be had. There's the mind game of, you see their deck, and then are you going to bid on those legendary enhancements? Then you see, then you place your battlefield. So now you got to choose, what's happened with those. Where are we going to place? And then it's obviously what augments do I place as well. So I think it's a really decent game flow in that sense to keep it pretty tight. Now, you mentioned the RNG being gone. That is definitely a big plus for you. I just like checking, because most competitive players know that RNG is just like the bane of your existence. I jump back into, you were talking about just deck counters. I just jumped back into playing some Yu-Gi-Oh last week, and I just you get into a straight brick hand, and they get a first turn where they just can negate everything. It's like, this is just so frustrating. And I think that is going to be one of those big things, like you said, that's going to try and drag a lot of players from other competitive games, because it's probably the most balanced format that I've seen for a competitive game. Would you agree with that? Have you seen anything else that you go, this is a much better competitive game?
Chess, maybe.
Chess is 100% it. I'm talking video games.
Yeah. Actually, in video game, there's always this problem in design, how to make a good game for competitors, but also a good game for casuals.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, if we want to have replayability in a game, a good amount of RNG is the easiest, I would say, solution.
Yep.
In order to play again and feel like every game is different, and that's how we make replayability. But of course, for every competitors, this is the worst, because as competitors, we hate to simply lose because we got unlucky.
Yeah.
And I will even say, I personally hate to win because I got lucky, because I don't feel like I've won because I was smarter. I just won because, well, I got lucky, and that's all. You don't learn anything from that. Even if you make mistakes, they are overwritten by this luck, and you just don't learn how to be better. So that's my personal point of view, and I know that a lot of TFT pro players with who I discuss or I met regularly, they feel the same. They hate this least level RNG, and that's why I feel like TFT is taking the direction I don't like for competitors. It's just that they try to add more and more RNG, which is great for casual. There are more and more TFT players, but when I look at the competitors, everyone is complaining.
Yep.
And that's why I believe that the moment Illuvium starts to launch and they will have the first tournaments, all these TFT competitors will see that, hey, there's an auto battler, looks very good, no RNG, 20 times more cash prize than TFT. Maybe I should switch.
Yep. I can definitely see that. Now, you mentioned the cash prize thing, which is obviously going to be a positive for a lot of players coming in, because it'd be nice if you could, generate some more income. But do you see the fact of the cost to play and build competitive decks being a deterrent for some people?
It could be. It could be. But I think it could be more for casual players.
Yeah. So, yeah, because competitive players can normally find a way. I'm sure if you're a competitive player from another gaming scene, you'll find someone that'd be happy to bankroll you to get you in and stuff like that. Is that the sort of the line of thought?
Yeah, exactly. And also, if we put ourselves in the head of just a casual gamer, like the guy who plays maybe 1 hour per day and a bit more the weekend because he has a job and so on, it's kind of difficult to accept to pay, I don't know, a few $100 if needed. I don't know. I have no clue about the prices. I just take this as an example.
Yep.
In order to, and in the end, just play 1 hour per day, especially when you know that if you play more, you can maybe get your ROI faster or whatever. And that's a feeling I have among the legacy gamers. They're like, we don't want to play we don't want to feel forced to play because we invested and we want to get our money back. They just
Yeah.
want to play. They just
Yeah.
want to have fun.
But
And
yeah, I agree with that. And looking at it in that sense, you're kind of looking at it from the competitive buying a deck to play. And that's where I think Illuvium's done it well with the open world, is that those players who only have an hour, maybe and you don't have to invest that much, it's like literally like buying a pack of cards. You save up your pocket money, you've got 10, $15, you go buy that pack of cards, which is going on a travel and catching an alluvial. And so it starts as that's your casual play game loop. And then once you start to build up that roster, over a month or 2 months or 3 months, I just think of myself when I was a kid and you used to get like, birthday money, you got $10, you go straight to the shops and buy some Pokemon cards. And I feel like that's the kind of flow that you can get into for the casual players as well. But yeah, I definitely agree that, yes, I think competitive players, hopefully the cost to jump in and just straight compete without having to do the open world grind, which some of them may not want to. I'm hoping that's not too much of a barrier for them. And obviously we have the competitive ranked arena, which is going to be, a lot more cash friendly than the Leviathan.
yeah, I mean, if we look at how Hearthstone managed to be so successful in terms of casual players and competitive players, and if you come late in the game, like 1 year after the launch of the game, for instance, and you wanted to be competitive, well, you had to pay, I don't know how many hundreds of bucks in order to have a competitive deck, right? It was super expensive. Um, and some people liked it. Some people were like, whatever, it doesn't matter, because the Hearthstone esport was actually giving good amount of money to the best players. So the difference is that with Illuvium, all of these are NFTs, so you buy them, but you never lose the money.
Yeah.
And that's a new concept, which is going to be difficult first for people to accept, to understand it. But yeah, imagine like you pay $600 to have one of the most competitive deck. Okay, cool. It's a lot of money, but thanks to that, if you're good players from TFT, you might think as an investment, yeah, I can go to big tournaments, I can earn a lot of money, and if I don't like, I sell it.
100%. Yeah, works pretty smooth in that. And like you said, it is something different. Like the closest thing we've had in real life is trading cards, where you actually build a deck and then you can sell it on afterwards. Okay, and you mentioned in Hearthstone, however you say it, it's been years since I've actually played it. But they had this just is a tangent thought I got onto. They had a really cool game mode. I'm not sure if it's still in there, where it was like you pay an amount of currency to get in, and the amount of rounds you go determines how much you get back. So players will actually go in and lose because they don't get far enough, and others will come in and win. It just got me thinking about that. Like that's a cool sort of format that I feel like in the play and earn space, they could format that in a PvP format where it becomes like a tournament and that's your buy-in, and there could actually be net burning or net gains for the DAO from systems like that. That was just a complete tangent. Any thoughts on that? That was just something I wanted to say because I thought about it.
I think it's the arena mode where you pay like a good amount of gold, and you always get back at least a pack of cards. And the more you win, the more rewards you have next to that. So it could be another pack of cards, could be gold and dust. I think there were the resources. And honestly, this with Zeptile, so it's kind of crazy. Zeptile is my former teammate, esport teammate, and we kind of lost touch because he went to another esport team, and we found each other again in the Discord, Illuvium Discord, and now we're talking.
That's how you guys caught up. I'm gonna try and get him on as well at some stage. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and well, we both have the same way of thinking about Illuvium, Auto Battler, and so on. And we discussed with a guild, ACG and Caveman, about maybe trying to think of a way where we could implement the same kind of arena feeling from Hearthstone. Something sustainable, like don't need to put more money, this kind of thing. And I don't know if I should talk about that actually.
I can edit it out. It's all right, dude.
Okay. They're thinking of submitting a IIP.
Yep.
On it. So that's the part where I've been discussing with them, but I'm not going to give you all the details of how it works. Just giving you that this might happen very soon.
Yes,
so about your
go.
Sorry.
No,
so about your idea about the arena is like 100%. for it, as long as, of course, it's healthy for the ecosystem and the economics and so on.
Yeah,
Like there's no
I was even thinking you could expand out to like private tournaments where, you know, people host their own and you've got like certain buy-ins, and then depending on what round you get knocked out, that's how much you earn, like stuff like that. I'm just getting onto like thinking of content down the road and thinking of ideas like that. But back onto the topic at hand, which is, did you have something else you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, on your idea, I'm pretty sure it will happen. The tier 5 owners will make tournaments and they will decide their own rules. So there's a possibility this happens.
Yeah. 100%. But yeah, what I wanted to ask you back onto the competitive side of things after that massive tangent, what do you see as being the most impactful thing on your decision-making process in Illuvium? Like, do you think the synergies, like the class and affiliate and affinity synergies, are going to be the biggest thing that you focus on, or do you think it'll be like the countering of the enemies' affinities to get the hyper bonus? Like it's probably too early to know. Like you've just got to play these things and feel them out. But what's your general vibe on what you think is going to be the most important thing when making decisions about your deck and placements?
Yeah, so uh, I would go on Illuvium with the same thinking I have on TFT. And of course, based on how the game will feel when we play it, I might change that. But on TFT, for instance, and I will go the same with Illuvium, the most important is to evaluate the impact of each individual Illuvio. Like what matters the most is, of course, to have a good tank, a good DPS, and good support. Let's say this is a good harmony. But we will find out that there are some Illuvios which are much more impactful than others, and of course we want to play them or play around them, and so we want them first, and then based on these Illuvios, we want to build around it. We want to build around the synergies of these Illuvios, Earth, whatever, Bulwark, different synergies.
Yep.
And after, of course, there's the positioning, which is super important. In this game, you can have incredible fights with so little resources, and you can be so inefficient with a big team and just badly positioned.
Yep.
And then after, of course, in this positioning, actually, there's also the counter affinities. We want to try to put a tank, for instance, which has affinity advantage in front of another tank, and this kind of thing. So, of course, we will need to learn all of this, but I have this feeling that this is the order of how we build a team. First, the most impactful Illuvios, and then we build around it, and then we play them.
Yeah, and then I also see extending on that being like, individual characters and the individual alluvials and their actual kit is going to matter a lot. Like, I'm just going to add down to absolute basics where if your enemy has a tank, a healer, and a DPS, some situations you might want to train the healer first, whereas some other situations the DPS might be too threatening. And, maybe that one's got the burst where if you can kill it before it gets the heal, then you're good fast there. So whereas other ones, it may be the healer heals too quick and then you're not going to kill that DPS. So I also think it's going to heavily depend on obviously individual characters and their skill sets. And I'm just really I don't know have you seen the website, the Alluvial Master website?
Yeah. Yes.
I just love that site for they've been gathering all the omegas, the everything, and I just love reading through that and trying to get a feel for each of the individual characters, and all that sort of stuff.
This website is perfect. Actually, Zeptile and I, to some lesser degree, we were helping Sky, the person who actually is making the website, to give him ideas about what we need as competitive players. And this website, this guy is working so hard, and I was out in holidays for 1 week, and when I came back, I saw the website upgraded so much. I'm like, how can he do that alone?
Yeah.
And this website is perfect, even for beginners who want to just jump in and try to understand each Illuvial. They can just click on it and they can read their effect, their statistics, everything. So it's very good.
It's fantastic, and I think you'll share the sentiment. It's not just for casual players, not just for competitive players. Those type of resources, especially crowd-made ones, which are normally the way they start, are just fantastic for everyone to help you in a competitive sense, no matter what level you're actually starting at. So yeah, I'm very big on those types of resources, but. The last thing that I really wanted to ask you is, do you have like a favorite alluvial that you're looking at and like something in mind of like you like watching the gameplay and going, that's the first thing I want to start testing when I get my hands on it?
Testing. So like because it feels strong or whatever, right?
Yeah, like
Not
like
just
for me, I'm a loser. Like I see stabbing the penguin, and I'm like, as soon as that thing comes into the game, I don't give a shit. I'm building something around it because I just like that character. But yeah, that's me. You can look at it however you want. But yeah, anything you're looking at that you really interests you.
I think in terms of power, it looks like Dual F would be super easy to play and super efficient at dealing damage. So something I would play around it and maybe some more water and this team, so fire as well, these kind of things.
Yeah.
Like this guy looks like in a good setup can be incredibly strong. But I mean, I don't know. There's so many of them. Like I want to have all of them actually. In order to build my team, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Dual F and maybe something around Goliath. I mean, Titaner, who looks like a very strong tank, easy to play as well. Like this could be a good starter, for
Yeah.
instance.
And play style. Do you have a favorite sort of play style? Because like I know for me, like water is sort of my favorite play style. I like in these types of games. I've always liked the high energy builds. Now they're always dependent on how strong those ultimates or omegas are and the synergies. But I've just always liked that fast paced, get everything out type play style. Do you have a favorite play style in that type of sense?
I like to have a defensive playstyle.
Yeah. Okay. You're one of those annoying stall guys.
Exactly. But it depends if it's efficient or not on Illuvium. Like I like to have a good amount of time, which is like stalling the fight so long that my backline behind is just free and can attack as much as they want. But I like also the rogue, the assassins, like the ones who jump on the other side, because these ones, I would say, and this is my opinion, could be wrong, but these are the most efficient Illuvials to play against people who are not used to positioning.
Yeah.
It's so easy to punish them, and look, so at the beginning of the game, they could be actually the strongest Illuvials because not many people will be able to handle Ramfire getting on the backline, destroying everyone.
Yeah.
Because you have to position yourself in some ways to avoid this. And I'm pretty sure, like, at the beginning of the game, not everyone will do it correctly.
And I think that's another level of where when we get into like PvP, where the mind games come in, where you see, okay, that enemy team only has one rogue. Do I put a tank at the back line just to take that one rogue, or do I? And you know, like maybe they got two, and it's like, am I going to get baited into putting a tank at the back line who's actually going to do nothing because they either put the rogue at the other end of the battlefield, or and I think that's going to be the really interesting thing once we start getting into the PvP flow of like learning what the standard is that people will play and just the general mind games. But yeah, is there anything else you wanted to mention about competitive play or anything in general before we finish up?
I would just say like I mean, of course we have the survivor mode which is coming soon and maybe for everyone at the same time. So of course I'm very excited for it. But where I'm the most excited is like the day we can, hey, pick someone 1v1. I just show to that person who's the best. I think there will be the day where Illuvium will be the funniest moment of the whole life of this game. And I think also it's the moment when we can try to catch up some interesting competitors from TFT. I think of TFT, but of course of all different strategy game, and we can show them that this game is good. Not only it's like well designed, it's very beautiful to watch, but also as a design, it's really designed for competitive players. And I hope that this will just prove that everyone who's not in the crypto space that hey, there's a good game. It will be weird to miss it just because you don't know what's a crypto, and they might be curious about it. And I'm really looking forward for this moment because I think this is the moment when Illuvium is going to blow up and become more and more mainstream.
Yep, 100%. I couldn't agree more. And I love the fact that you're looking forward to that day when you can just challenge someone and prove who's the best. It's a tough one because you're coming from that professional level, so you got something to lose. Whereas someone like me, it's like, hey, I'm just a noob. I'm just coming in. I got nothing to lose. So like that's like risk free for someone like me. You've got a lot of reputation on the line. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing some of that stuff. And I think just the general community once we get into that sort of stage. Is going to be absolutely fantastic. But once again, dude, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it. Guys, I'll leave a link to all this stuff. You got Twitter. I'll leave a link to everything you tell me after this in the description. Definitely go show him some support. Like I said, those the analysis videos of Grant and Kieran's gameplay, absolutely fantastic, especially if you're new to auto battlers. Jump in there. But yeah, that's just about it for us. So thanks again, dude. Really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure for me.